What's up, y'all? And of course, welcome to another alternative factuals video. Second video for the week, and I want to do something obviously Black Lightning related, very popular, very in thing to do. We're approaching the fall season, so there is something I realized I never did for a very specific character that's apparently very popular among the fan base or the people that I have coming to this channel for videos. And Painkiller obviously is very popular. Obviously, he's a handsome young man, I can't deny that, but also he has a very interesting character development throughout the season. You do know that he started off as someone who's a paraplegic due to the shot that he actually received from one of the people who were attempting to kill the marchers who were marching in Freeland, and he received a stray bullet, severed the spine in his back, and then Tobias recruited him, thus giving him the metahuman abilities that he currently has today. But before I dive into the details of his powers and abilities and what he's capable of, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, let me know what you feel, and let me know what you think about Painkiller. Let me know what you think about his abilities. Do you feel like he's going to get more powerful? And without further ado, let's kind of dive into today's video. Okay, so Painkiller. Yes, Painkiller. Now, he is a fictional character, obviously. He's not real, he's not based off of anything, and if you thought otherwise, then I would make sure you seek help. But he appears in the I believe is Black Lightning Volume 2, number 2 in 1995 of March. So he was very much a villain who started off very close to the original debut of Black Lightning. Black Lightning came out in the 60s, but ultimately he's one of those characters that's been around for a long time, over 20 years pretty much. And he hasn't made too many appearances throughout I guess Black Lightning's history. For the most part, we've only seen him only a couple times throughout maybe the comic books, but also this is the first time he's even gotten like a live action version of himself in any way, shape, or form. And he's also not really even relevant in any of the animated series of Justice League or anything that has Black Lightning. He hasn't really been brought up. Tobias has, but Painkiller hasn't. Now, I appreciate them resurrecting this character because with a character like this, where he's only showed up maybe about like once, he actually can do a lot more just by the circumstances of his abilities, as well as the fact that there's not much known about him. So like I said, he was introduced in March of 1995, which was the original Black Lightning comic book volume number 2 that was written by Tony Isabella. But also 2 issues later is actually when he died in volume 2 number 4 in May 1995. So basically very short-lived, no history, we have no backstory as well as no future for him clearly, but this is why he's a perfect character for the TV show. But besides all that, let's get into his abilities. Now, he's a metahuman classification apparently, but his metahuman ability is basically from that spinal implant in the TV show. So basically this spinal implant gives him, superhuman strength or enhanced strength, and can induce like a anesthesia-like effect on human bodies, and thus dulling their senses to his victims. And he's a very skilled combatant. He was training, I guess, via Tobias, and he developed a lot of skills over the course of time due to the fact that his blood was actually enhanced by the spinal implant, as well as whatever Tobias taught him, whatever he was trained to do, and just overall he's actually a very solid combatant in general. Now, in the comics, he had knives on the end of his dreads, but I feel like that's a little too extra for a TV show. That's a little bit of a reach, but who's to say that they wouldn't do that in the CW television show? But I'm going to dive into each aspect of his powers. It's not really super extensive, but I want to go into the superhuman strength part. Now, some people get very confused between superhuman strength and then enhanced strength. They are actually 2 different things, not extremely different, but just 2 different levels of classification. Now, in this case, Painkiller has enhanced strength. Now, enhanced strength usually means you will cap relatively quickly compared to somebody like Superman or the Incredible Hulk. Both have superhuman strength. Rather than enhanced strength is usually a way to say like peak human strength, for example. Like we've seen in Black Lightning of the 1st and 2nd season that he was able to easily throw grown men across a room, and a grown man can average anywhere between 185 pounds to 200 pounds and approximately around like the 5'10", 5'11" type height. So he definitely can easily just launch someone who's about 200 pounds, meaning probably his max strength is about like 350, 400 pounds if he's really pushing it. And that's me kind of just, guessing, but he falls in the enhanced strength area. His superhuman strength levels that's not really a thing for him. Like I said, he does not fall into that category. So make sure when you're referencing his strength, it's not superhuman, it is enhanced. So make sure you don't classify him as someone who has superhuman strength. It's enhanced strength. There is a difference. 2. Now, his anesthetic ability. Now, this is what's very interesting. Now, in the show, they depict it as if the darts are actually somehow taking parts of his blood and then kind of injecting it into other people via these needles or these darts that he kind of uses on these wristbands. That is very much still up in the open, but it is very clear that his blood was actually modified by that spinal implant, thus causing his blood to be, I guess, to some degree poisonous, but not necessarily the same poisonous as a scorpion or some sort of venomous bite from a spider, but more or less it has traits of the anesthesia that if he tried to give a blood transfusion, it would not register into somebody else's body, thus probably killing them, but also he would just have a problem in general, just trying to adjust to regular blood as well. All right, number 3. Now, this is one thing that I don't think was touched upon in the comics. Like I said, he had a very short-lived, only 2 issues basically, and this is the part that I kind of want to dive into that the show seems to have taken a liberty about. Now, Painkiller seems to have a very low-level healing factor, low level, and I will describe or at least specify the reason why this is actually the case. In season 2, you actually see when he's actually poisoned by I believe it was Cutter. That's her name. Cutter is her name. She actually has poison dipped daggers, and basically she even said that any regular person, if they would have even got sliced by that, they would have been dead already. But Khalil was able to survive hours after being poisoned due to the nature of not only his blood, but also, like I said, he has a low level healing factor due to the enhancements of the spinal implant. Also, because his genetic coding was modified to such a degree, even after Tobias ripped out that cybernetic implant from his spine, I mean literally his spine was severed and it was ripped out of there, not only was he still able to kind of move and pull himself into the street, but also he was very much able to survive way longer than any of us could ever imagine. Now, if you had your spine severed in the area that it was severed, you'd be done for. You would not last nearly as long as he did, even though he wasn't necessarily talking, and then for a certain point he was in a catatonic state, and then Jennifer had to kind of communicate with him via Pereno, who was using her mind powers to create this kind of place for them to kind of spend the illusion of several hours, even though it was only maybe about a few minutes, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is, because of that really low level healing factor, he was able to survive long enough to not only run into the pastor, but also eventually he was going to go into the hospital, which allowed him and Jennifer to develop some sort of closure. But also, we come to find out that he's not even dead. We found out that the ASA got a hold of him, got a hold of his body, and they're probably going to use him for the 3rd season between the Markovian Metahuman War and Freeland. So basically, he still didn't die. His low level healing factor actually allowed him to at least stay alive, so that way they can throw him on ice, fix him up, and then basically rejuvenate his body with a similar enhancement in terms of the spine implant, and then he'll be able to go on as Painkiller, except he'll be working for the ASA, which is a subset of the government. So that's very interesting. Now, last but definitely not least is just his overall combat abilities. Now, his abilities actually speaks to how great or how intelligent when it comes to his physical application, in terms of how quickly he's able to pick up things physically when it comes to his muscle memory. I feel like I was struggling to say that, I kept going around it for a second. But his physical muscle memory is at least off the charts. His reflexes are off the charts. The fact of the matter is, let's put this in perspective for you. So at the ending of season 1, well, closer to the ending of season 1, we see that Khalil is actually fighting Black Lightning along with Tobias. Now remember, Black Lightning is a ridiculously beast of a fighter when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. His electricity actually enhances his punches, his kicks, anything that makes contact with you, he can enhance it with electricity, which can affect you on a cellular level. When it comes to your nervous system or anything like that, it can affect you in such a degree. Now, the fact of the matter is, Khalil has only had his abilities at that point in time only for maybe about a month, and that's me guessing. And the fact of the matter is, he was able to go hand in hand with Black Lightning even for short periods of time, even with the help of Tobias, which Tobias, I think he's more of a brawler than he is someone who has technique and is such a fighter. But he was still able to go toe to toe with Black Lightning for a short amount of time to even be able to land a blow that stopped his heart even for that point in time. It was ridiculous, and it was off the charts. Now, if he was to train as long as Black Lightning, someone who's been fighting for 20 plus years, who has the experience plus the abilities, then he would be a serious problem for someone who is not experienced. Even at his current level, he was still able to take out about 7 to 8 people without any assistance before someone has to jump in and kind of give him a little push. And like I said, he's an inexperienced, well, at some point he will be an experienced fighter, but at this point he's inexperienced. So he's definitely going to be a problem in season 3, especially because now he has a little more experience. He's been fighting, he's been on the run, he knows what it feels like to need to fight to survive. So that instinct and those muscle memories are going to be there, and because his reflexes are just so ridiculously crazy, he is going to be one of the best fighters in season 3. I'm pretty sure some of the best fight scenes like in season 2 is going to be coming from him in season 3 for sure. But let me know what you think about Khalil and his abilities as Painkiller and all that jazz, and let me know in the comments. But once again, thank you for watching the video, and if you're new to the channel, drop a comment down below, drop a like, all that jazz, all that good stuff, and I hope to see you later on. Peace out.